One thing I'd like to preface this video on. I'm going to roll around underneath this caravan to show you something that you might never actually bother to look for underneath. And I'm going to be rolling around on these. So you should really consider subscribing, seeing as I'm rolling around on literal spikes to give you an honest review of this. I'm joking, I'm not going to emotionally abuse you into watching this video or subscribing. Just watch the rest of the video, hopefully get something out of it. I'm going to be reviewing the 2025 Ezytrail Ceduna 17 Mark III quad, 2 bunks. Hope you get something good out of this video. Let's get stuck into it. Let's get under here with the GoPro for some of the things that you might not always look at the showroom, right? Because getting underneath the caravan might be a bit embarrassing. But here's some things that I actually do really like the way that Ezytrail have done this. Ready? These proper pass-through kind of screw-on grommets for big power cables, main power cables that are coming from the batteries, right? So that's all your 705 amps of lithium. Underbody, which means it's outside of the kind of livable area, which meets regulations, and it's centered right between the wheels for low weight distributions, the lowest possible point that it can be and the most central point that it can be, right between the wheels, like that. While we're talking about weight distribution though, right here should be the front tank. That's a hell of a lot closer to the front, which adds a lot more bore weight once that's full. Don't like that. Ezytrail sorted out way too far forward in my opinion, but what the hell do I know, right? That's just something I don't like. Might be something that other people might not like too. But if you do look at the more refined, expensive, really well put together vans on the market, that's where their water tanks are. For goddamn good reason too, right? Because the weight really wants to be just where it makes the most sense to, and way up there it doesn't. So that one needs to change, in my opinion, Ezytrail. And for anyone looking to buy one, it might just be noteworthy to understand what your bore weight is, maximum bore weight of your car is, or how much weight that you can have on the tow ball, how much weight you can have on your tow bar and your rear axle, because that does add a lot of weight when you're full to your tow vehicle. So without our GVM upgrade on our Ford Everest, we'd have had no chance, right? With full water tanks trying to get off grid, we would have had no chance. So just be mindful of that, all right? Suspension obviously isn't anything absolutely crazy, but it does the job. You do have these greasable shackles here on both sides, so you can grease up your actual pivot points. Dual shock absorbers either side. A pretty nice looking spring in there, and overall, even though it's a basic suspension system, I'm pretty happy with it. It rides really good even when the tanks are completely full, doing 95, 100 Ks. This thing really does handle really nicely. Some of the things that I'm not like 100% on, just the way that these seals have been done. Some of them are questionable, like that one there. And there's a few bits of sealing that I'll talk about that aren't 100% up to scratch. While I'm down here, this here is the exhaust for your diesel heater. For the diesel heater, tucks away nicely here. Got a filter element here as well that runs into the heater. Again, these are the types of little things that I'm not 100% on when you look at this sealing around the hole that they've got in the floor here. Basically no attempt to even seal it has happened. You know, you look at these ones here, which is supposed to be sealing a bolt, but I can still see the silver underneath it. Yeah, there's a lot of this sealing action that has kind of just not had the care taken to my personal standard. I don't know how much that bothers you, but again, they're not areas where a lot of water can get in unless you submerge your van up to here, which is, you know, 700-800 mil off the ground, which is pretty deep water. They're the types of things that I would pick the most. It's the sealing. Everything else, to be honest, for the price point, I'm very happy. Now, while we're up the front of the van here, pretty big toolboxes. We have gas either side, 1 and 2, and here is basically just our tools, our other bits and pieces, our solar panel, our solar blanket, I should say, spare parts, that type of thing. A few of Indy's toys. This strip toolbox up here. We've got some other kind of longer bits and pieces for the anti-flap kit, so on and so forth. But you make those toolboxes your own. But they're a nice shape. They look really good. I do like that it's worked out that it kind of matches the angle of the stone protection. That kind of looks pretty cool. And I think in truth, that's probably what they've done with this toolbox. It's to act as stone protection, so that as stones would come up from the back of your vehicle, they would hit this and be deflected down, much like this. But we didn't want to smash our toolbox, and having this here actually just allows us to, you know, we hang towels on it, we use it for all different types of things. Yeah, but that doesn't come from Ezytrail. That's something that we've put on. Everything else on the van is as it comes. Even the fans inside, everything that you see is all standard inclusions, which is the other nice thing. It pretty much is just a ready to roll setup, other than your own personal touch, your own personal items, eh? That is screen only. See that? So you can separate the screen by knocking that up. But this is an auto step, just like that. Boom. Flick of a button right here. We have awning open close. We have all of our light selections, which ones you want to turn on. We have RV leveling on this screen. Pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing groundbreaking on there, but it does just give you a breakdown of where your battery's at, where your tanks are at, and kind of how much temperature things are running too. Kind of just handy to know at the touch of a screen right as you enter your van. But you also can connect that to your phone via an app, and you can have that. Accessible. Oh man, these bloody cat's eyes. They're everywhere.
So I will show one slightly annoying thing. Children love to touch, and one thing that we've found Indy loves to do is here there's a home and away button, and when you're home, obviously you press the home and it turns all the electronics on, but the away button, that's the one that she can touch the most, the easiest, and she loves to hit that, and it turns everything off. It turns the Starlink off, it turns everything, and as you know, it takes ages to turn back on again. So having some sort of cap or thing covering it would be very handy that is childproof, because like we've got this fuse box here, that's kind of childproof. She hasn't figured that out yet because it doesn't have any pretty lights on it, but something that is childproof would be handy for that, because I have seen in the Ezytrail Ceduna Facebook page that someone else is having problems with it too and hasn't thought of a good idea yet. So that would be a good thing for Ezytrail to come up with, is something that the toddlers can't mess with this. It's very frustrating when the power's on, off, on, off. Some sort of solution for that, Ezytrail, would be ideal.
So we're going to continue along some of the things that I don't really like, and that's in here. I'm going to try and get you inside here. Hang on. Get you inside here. So this is coming straight from one of the pantry sections. We've got some potatoes and onions in here. We've got some pots and pans and a couple of utensils in here, in between the cooker and the kind of main pantry section with the kind of bench here, right? From in here, when you have this open, that there is my daughter's clothes, and they're the drawers, right? My daughter's drawers. They go underneath her bunks, which is just up here. There's a bunk here, and there's a bunk up there, right? Now, bugs fill that area, and when you open it, it floods your van with bugs. I say flood your van with bugs. I make that sound super dramatic, but what I'm saying is, right, a barrier there'd be nice. That's something that I would pick. Not a massive drama, right? Again, it's not a deal breaker, right? But it is just something. Maybe it's something that Ezytrail can actually improve on. You know, it's just feedback for them as much as it is as a buying guide, right? A couple of 12-volt sockets. I've actually got to unscrew those, and then you can pop it. And of course, you have some charging ports for your USB, and then this one has a latch on the bottom. That's just for your TV mount for outside. Speakers. There's another speaker over there, I believe. Yes. You can vent up here for the range hood inside. 1, 2, 3 exterior lights, which they go from white to amber to off. They're your 3 flavors of light. I'll get some shots tonight and I'll run those clips now so that you can see them in the video. Not a great deal to speak about. Tyres, wheels, I mean, it's a pretty standard package, but they are rated to suit the weight. They are pretty decent tyres. So far we've done 1500, maybe 1800 Ks on them so far. Tarmac for the most part so far, but they've hit some rock, they've hit some red dirt, they've hit a bit of everything so far, and they're doing really well. Now we'll just go through and walk through what we're looking at on this side of the van. So what we have here, that's the access to the cassette. We also have an outdoor shower here. That's why we have a light up here as well on this side of the van. Rear water tank fill up. You can actually fill them up from underneath with this tap. Is just a quarter turn. You can get a fitting, go on that. I've just got the cap on it at the moment. You can hook your hose up onto that and fill it from the bottom, and then it will fill up this way, and that there is actually the filler hose that comes up to here. Right, so what you'll have is that'll be acting as a breather. Take that cap off, it fills up from underneath. Aerial, another coaxial. That's your 15 amp in to charge the van when you want to hook up. Tunnel boot, front water tank, city water inlet, the gas hot water system exhaust right here. Really nice stealthy looking van for what it is too, which is what we like. So let's start with the storage. Jade absolutely loves all the storage, so do I in truth. As you walk into your left, so this is my left, we have all of this storage cupboard space that's quite deep. See that? It goes all the way to the front of the van. I would say from the doors you got about 800 mil deep, so 80 centimeters deep, pretty deep. Same with this drawer here. Same again. 2 drawers under the bed, 2 cabinets above the bed. Actually, they're only about 400 mil deep, 200 mil high, if that gives you any reference. But pretty much all my clothes go into that one right there. So I'm a pretty basic man right now. Hey, very, very basic. Other than a few of my jumpers on that side too, for they're stored away on the really hard to reach place because we don't use them that often because it's pretty hot out here. So we've got the under bed compartment, and that's basically accesses the tunnel boot. It accesses a lot of the power system. It accesses a couple of those drawers from overhead, and then there is a little section just down here so that if you don't feel like lifting the bed up, you can just grab a couple of shoes or whatever it might be that you might want to put in there. Really cool. Underneath the main seating area is all storage. One side is a drawer, the other side is just a area on top of the wheel arch, which just gives you some place to store some bits and pieces, which is kind of the center of the van. I'm standing right over the top of the access to the batteries. Showed you underneath the van before, that kind of box that was holding them and mounting them up underneath. That's how you get to the top of them. Now, the inside kitchen, we don't use it that much unless it's raining, and it's been raining a couple of days since the beginning of our trip, so we have used it a little bit. Big storage right above, right? That's just good for some really light stuff, you know. And we've actually got all our Tupperware and containers up there because they're all plastic. They weigh nothing. Perfect spot for them because they're bulky and annoying. Just put them in there, lock it away. Standard inclusion is microwave. And they did tell me at the showroom, the salesman, he did say that you can't use it while you're off grid. You can. You just need to make sure that you understand that it draws a lot of power. Now, when Jade was using it before, you can see it draws about 100 odd amps mixed in with some of the other lights and other bits and pieces that we had, charging camera gear, that kind of thing. There was a point there where it was drawing 100 amps from the system at one given point for about a minute, right, while you're heating some food up. A minute ain't too bad, in my opinion. If you're going to draw 100 odd amps in that amount of time, you're not going to kill your batteries, all right? Don't stress. The only thing is that I was worried about was the size of the cable to carry that current, but it is sufficient. Nothing's let go, everything's holding up, nothing got hot, and I was checking all of that while she runs it at that kind of level. Holds up really good. So yeah, it is good to use while you're off grid. Just be mindful that if you're going to run it for like 15 minutes, to heat up like a frozen meal or something, probably wouldn't recommend doing that. You would eat up a lot of your battery power, but also it'll be carrying a lot of current through all of your cables for a long period of time. That's where things are going to heat up and get a bit hairy. I would just advise against that. Looking at the kitchen, Jade's doing a fantastic job here showing you how she's bought this board specific with that little lip. It just allows for a bit more bench space when you're when you don't have them open.
From Big W, I'll show you. So it's actually meant to be sitting. Oh yeah. It's meant to sit like that like as a chopping board. But if you turn, I got this hack off someone else who had a smaller Ceduna, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, then it just sits over and
that little lip there just kind of catches on there, so it doesn't keep sliding backwards and forwards.
Makes it a bit more aesthetically pleasing, as well as it's useful having a flat surface.
Yeah, that way you're also just not smashing all your glass on top of those. TV comes standard. Yes, it's a smart TV, so you can run YouTube, internet, the whole shebang. Range hood, again, is included. All of the fans are included. That's included. Aircon's included. Lights included, of course. Fridge is included. That we got separate, but Ezytrail installed it for us, and that is a dust suppression system from Dometic. So that hopefully it works as good as they say it does, because red dirt in here is going to be a nightmare. I'm sure some of you have had that experience before. We want to avoid that experience if we bloody can. So hopefully it works really good, because it's not one of the powered ones. It is one of like the self-driven ones where you get up to some speed and it puts positive pressure inside, effectively pushes air outside of anywhere that there is air getting in, or an open channel. It's pushing air out like constantly, so that dust doesn't get a chance to get in. That's the general rule if you didn't know. So hopefully it works. We haven't tested it enough to even know, so once we do, we'll let you know if it does work. But for now, this top bunk doesn't get used by any humans, but it is just a good spot for all of our little girls' stuff, her nappies, her spares. Because wipes and stuff are quite light, we can have a few spares, like a box of nappies up there and things, and some of her toys that get to stay in here, which are all really light. That's just foam. Seeing as it's quite high in the van, we wanted it to be light stuff only, but it works really good for that. And then that's Indy's whole sleeping arrangement with her toys, basically a little playroom area, which works really well. Again, fan included. Indy loves putting her fingers in there, but thankfully it doesn't actually hurt that much, so don't stress too much about your kids putting their hands in there. The only thing that we installed, what do you call that again?
CO2.
A CO2 alarm, so a carbon monoxide alarm. Seeing as we do have gas in here, we do have gas basically running underneath this floor, in all of the pipe work for it. We just wanted to make sure that we were safe, because if you fall asleep and there's a lot of that building up in here, and it's not escaping fast enough, you might not wake up. So 40 bucks at Bunnings, a pretty decent one. Going into the bathroom, this has got to be where the worst of the caulking and the sealing, the finished product, is. Even just before we get to the bathroom, we just have bits and pieces like this. Like this bit of trim was just cut near like 5 to 8 mil too short, and they've just like filled it with some crappy, it's just a crappy finish. I've done a lot of finishing like that inside of homes, in bathrooms and things, and I would never get away with that. And I don't know, like obviously Ezytrail do, because we bought this van, and I saw that and I still bought the van. So it's not a deal breaker. Again, it's just me nitpicking. But for me it wasn't a deal breaker, but it is just a bit unfortunate to see that type of stuff. In the bathroom is probably the worst of it, which is kind of the place you need it to be the most sealed. But instead of fixing it, I am going to wait out the warranty period to see if any drama happens, because if it doesn't, then it's not really a drama, is it? It's just a little bit of an eyesore, or when you look at this caulking, like that's just crap. You could have just run your finger over that to finish that up, but like up in there, like that's just a bit gross, pretty damn gross, really. Again, that one's not gonna seal a great deal. A bit of steam might get in there. It's not gonna cause massive issues, but visually it's just a bit gross. That's all I'm trying to say. Even up in here, like what the hell's going on up in here, but these are the pros and cons, eh? I would be really upset, again, if this was a caravan where I spent over $150,000 on, and I was seeing this type of stuff. I definitely wouldn't have bought it. I just wouldn't have. I would have said, nah, no chance, right? But it's a bit of a different story when you're considering a van like Ezytrail. This is sub $90,000. It's a very capable van for what it is. So a few of these little visual imperfections, again, aren't a deal breaker, right? But it's good for you to be aware of when going into this purchase decision. And hopefully this shines a bit of light for Ezytrail too, to say, you know what, maybe we do need to pay a bit more attention to these finer detail things, because it is just the finished product that's visual here. There's no reason why they couldn't have spent an extra 2 minutes to make that look pretty and not have these kind of negative reviews about it. So, and I'm not trying to paint this as a negative review. This is just the everything that you need to know for the purchaser, and the everything you need to know as a manufacturer too, hey? So let's look at it like that. Again, up here, this isn't quite square, you know, like, again, not a deal breaker, but the seal is, you know, it's doing its job. It's doing its job there. But again, it's a visual thing. Right. Other than that, in the bathroom, honestly, pretty damn tidy. Nothing else other than those design things. The door works perfectly, slides around, slides around, slides around, right? I have found that with that little bit of grit that's building up in there, just because we're like really red sandy dirt out here at the moment, and you're taking this off and just wringing it around there to really rinse it out, but we don't want to be wasting water right now, so that helps. That does kind of bind it up a little bit, but once that's out of the way, the track honestly runs really smooth and really nicely. Other than that, that is the overall breakdown of this van. We love it, right? Other than, again, those little bits and pieces, where the front tank is probably the biggest overall design flaw, in my opinion, because that adds a lot of weight to your tow ball in your tow vehicle, when if there was really no reason that it couldn't be just there. The only other thing I probably haven't really gone over is these. I actually really like these. I really like these. You got obviously just pretty standard window latches, right? But you got your fly screen, which do just push out, by the way. See that? They do just push out very, very easily. But they spring back in okay. But that big window there, if you've got kids rolling around the bed, just keep the window shut, because they'll go straight through that fly screen and they'll fall bloody 5 foot to the ground. I wouldn't be changing the design of that, simply for the fact that that nice big window is really beautiful in the morning when you got a nice view and you wake up and it's just, you know, so it needs to stay there. But for the sake of that fly screen, just be mindful of that. They're not like held in with a rubber strip like they normally are in your house. But if they do come out, the easy fix really actually is to just run it up slowly and run it back down, and it comes straight back in. Everything else in this van is pretty well put together for the price point, in my opinion. All of the standard inclusions, 705 amps of lithium, 600 watts of solar, everything is included. Include all those fans, the cooking, all the bayonets, the tanks. There's 240 litres of water, of fresh water, and 80 litres of grey. You're pretty capable here. Those numbers are working good, and my biggest fear was that these stick-on solar panels weren't going to run the amps to charge after discharging the batteries. I thought that they weren't going to be as efficient, because that's just my knowledge of the way solar panels are made. There's different types, and some of them are more efficient than others, right? They are effectively the cheapest, most simple kind of way that you can do solar, but they are lighter, which adds to the feature of this van's big payload, which is above 500 kilos, right? You have more than 500 kilos of payload in this, which is a big selling point for us. So my fear is that the solar wasn't going to work, but what I have found is that it is absolutely cranking. On a day like today, sun high in the sky, that solar is working incredibly, nearly 30 amps. And if we need a little bit more, we do have just our Kings, our Venture Kings solar blanket. I think it's 120 amp solar blanket. We run that out and put it into the sun. We've seen upwards of 35, 36 amps with that added to the system. That's pretty good charging for a basic, very lightweight stick-on system, and it replenishes our batteries every single day, and we do not hold back from spending power. Basically, we use everything. We use the microwave and everything else, all the lights, all the fans. Admittedly, we haven't used the aircon a great deal yet, but when we do, I have confidence now that it will replenish. As an overall guide to this van, guys, I rate it highly. I'm very glad we've made this decision. There's a few design flaws, like I said, there's a few finishing flaws, but the bare bones of everything work really, really well. I don't know what else you need to know. let us know in the comments if there is some other things that you would like to know, and maybe we can cover those in another video in case I've missed anything that is a selling point for you or is a deal breaker for you that you'd like to know specifically. I've tried to go over everything in detail as much as I can. But anyway, that's enough from me. We're going to go and enjoy this beautiful location here at Charlotte Plains. And don't forget to subscribe if you got something valuable out of this video. I'd love for you to travel along and support us on our lap of Australia, on our travels. Yeah, and again, let us know in the comments if there's something, a place, if there's a location, if there's anything else about this van, our setup, or anything that we might be able to help with. But in truth, I reckon there's some more of you guys out there that would be able to help us a hell of a lot more, because we're only starting out in this. But we'd love your support. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.